Hi there, Travel and Things in association with Rugged Wear, Real People, Real Clothing, Real Solutions presents In Conversation With. I am your host, David Batsoffen, and my guest today is a man who went from comedy to another sort of jam. Chris Forrest. Chris, good morning. Welcome to you.
Good morning. Nice to be with you this morning.
It is good indeed. I mean, it's been a while since we've chatted, and it's, as I say, it's a different sort of jam now that you're doing. You're not up on stage, you're busy in the kitchen.
Well, I mean, I'm still on stage when I can be, but difficult in these times. But yes, the kitchen is one of my other passions that I've started having a lot of fun with, and I've been making the jam that you're looking at for a while. And for the longest time, my wife's been saying to me that I've got to start selling it, but I only really started doing that about, I'd say, 2 months ago.
I must tell you, that is just a few days, and it's almost done and dusted. But is it, it's a case of, is it A or is it B? Is it a jam or is it a relish? Because I've tried this on bread, I've tried it on toast, and I had it on a baked potato yesterday, which is also really delicious.
Fantastic. No, a lot of people, it's similar to a relish. There is a bit of sugar in it, though, which I think is what makes it a jam. I'm not sure of the exact definitions.
Okay.
But yes, I think the sugar is what makes it a jam.
So let's go back to the beginnings of Chris Forrest. I have to say, every time I think of your surname, there was a show many years ago that was put on a theatre on the square called The Complete Works of William Shakespeare Abridged. And they did all of these works. I think it was Anthony Coleman, amongst others. And he kept referring to the forest that lay beyond the castle at Dunsinane. So every time your name crops up, I always in my head go, Forest, which I know is not right.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you were there at the beginning, if I remember, of my career.
We
were at
the waterfront.
It was what was then called the waterfront. I still call it the waterfront, sadly. What was the place called? It was the Funny Farm Comedy Bar, but I think it was known as Hysterics before that.
It was known as Hysterics, and then Tony Stewart took it over and it became the Funny Farm. And I think it was the beginnings for a lot of us in stand-up, because they were interesting audiences, those people.
Well, when there were audiences, because sometimes it was just sort of three nuns and a half-eaten lemon type thing, and then. But it was a brilliant training ground. That was that was where we learned our things.
I think it was there, and there was also the Punchline Pub at what was the Civic Theatre. And
no, that was before my time. You're way older than me.
So I remember performing there. There were 4 people in the audience, one of whom was Mark Banks. And what happened at Punchline is you came on from the behind the stage, did your set, and then stepped off basically into the audience and sat down. And as I stepped off the stage, Mark was clapping hysterically. And as I walked past him, he went, "You stepped off the stage really well, David."
Yes. Mr. Banks, he's always been hilarious.
So firstly, what got you started in comedy, Chris?
That is a story I've told many times. It's I was trying to impress a lady.
You can't.
Well, the thing was, if you remember back in those days at the Funny Farm, they used to have this what they called open mic, which was somebody from the audience could come up and tell a joke.
Yeah.
And so I was there with a person who I was trying to, as I say, impress, and I thought, I know a lot of jokes. Let me get on stage and everyone will laugh and she'll just fall in love with me instantly and it'll be amazing. And I got on stage and I took the mic and I told a joke and nobody laughed. And I think she dumped me about a week later, and it was a complete disaster. But the thing was, for a very shy person at the time, being on stage felt natural. So it was about a month or so after that. I was still a student at the time, and the winner got a 6-pack. and I was a bit broke. So I thought, well, let me have another go at this, and maybe I can win a 6-pack, which I did. And then I kind of went back once a month, and I kept winning the 6-pack. And then Darren Moore came to me afterwards in the bathroom at the toilet while I was at the urinal at the time, and he said to me, well, why don't you come back and do a proper set? And I was like, well, I'm kind of busy right now. And then we ended up sitting there in that manky toilet at the Funny Farm for about an hour talking about the way forward. It was brilliant. That was almost to the day, actually. It was 22 years ago and 1 week.
Yeah, that place has changed quite considerably in the years past. But as you say, a lot of talent came out of there. Thinking of our friend Ryan Whittle, who's now in Cape Town.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll watch this. Ryan, I have the jam, you don't. It's as simple as that. But then of course, I know that you've been busy over the years. And then, of course, 18 months ago, everything changed for all of those people who were relying on the type of thing that you do, emceeing events, doing stand-up shows. That all closed down. Where did MasterChef creep in? Was it before? It must have been before COVID hit that you did MasterChef.
MasterChef, believe it or not, it's a long time ago. It still feels fresh to me. But we shot it a year before it aired. It aired in 2015, so we would have shot it in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think because MasterChef Australia is still running, that people think back to MasterChef South Africa, that it was just a couple of years ago. I did not realize 2014. My goodness me, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And
so it's a while, and it's been a great process since then, because I only really learned how to cook after MasterChef.
What made you enter, or did somebody say to you, do you want to give us a bash?
No, so remember, I was in Celebrity MasterChef, which is like remedial MasterChef, if we're honest. So I was a big fan of the show. And then my then agent phoned me up, and she said they've asked if you want to be on it. And I said, but the thing is, I don't know how to cook. And she said, it's fine. Just like go get some screen time on a primetime show. It'll be brilliant for you. So I thought, okay, cool. And then my goal was just to not be the first one who went out. And so I went along, and I thought, okay, they've asked me to be in it. I'm in it. Then there was a little interview before the time. And then it was a guy who I'm still good friends with to this day. His name's Arnold Tanzer. He was asking all these questions, and he's like, name some of the things you cooked. And I lied. I just went, I did a seafood risotto the other day, and I did this and I did that. And then I was like, he's eating this up. This is brilliant. And he's like, okay, cool. Now we're going to go do a kitchen test. And I was like, what? Okay. But I kept my poker face. And at the time, the only things I could cook were, I could braai, because you have to braai as a South African man or they take your passport away.
Yeah.
And I could do what I called an omelet. But if we're going to be technical, is actually a frittata. Okay. So when he said we're going to go cook, I was like, ha, what are we making? Scrambled eggs. And he said, close, you're going to do an omelet. And then I was like, I can do an omelet. So I made a frittata thinking I was making it's not really an omelet. And he was like, yeah, fair enough. You're good enough. You're in.
Come on in. How much,
yeah.
In the current series of MasterChef Australia, one of the contestants a few weeks ago bowed out. He said he couldn't take the pressure anymore. And he just felt that he could have gone out on a bad cook. He could have just botched that challenge and gone out on that. But he decided to man up and go, look, I just can't anymore. I cannot take the pressure. What was the pressure like for you, for the celebrities? Was it as tough as the regular contestants?
It is as tough. It was insane. I won't lie. At the time, there was the one task where I thought about botching it on purpose as well, because it was getting a bit much. It's crazy, although the competitive streak in me wouldn't allow it. So it's difficult to explain without giving away too much of the show. But so you're sitting there, and there's time, and there's the judges are all kind of putting pressure on you. And then you've got a camera that's watching you the whole time. And then they also have these spotters. I'm looking there because they were upstairs in the thing.
Yeah.
They're not there anymore, hopefully. But so they're kind of watching, and then they are communicating all the time. And they'll be like, Chris is struggling with his whatever.
Yeah.
And then you've got the clock, you've got the judges, you've got this camera watching you. And then when they find out you're struggling with something, then the other cameras they come and they get all these angles. And so you're already, I mean, they set those tasks so that you have to work your ass off to finish in time. And you have to plan properly, and you do everything, and you're already frazzled. And then now, if you make a mistake, then suddenly everybody comes and looks at you, and now you're even worse. And it's crazy, and you're under all the lights and all of this. One of the guys, I'm actually busy working with him now at a place called the Underground Bakery. His name's very talented chef, Stuart McClarty. He's been a chef, well, probably at the time for about 35 years, and even he was battling. So it's crazy. You don't understand till you're there. But Pete Goffwood was one of the judges. He's also a very good friend of mine now. He said to me after the show, he said, it's often not the best chefs that win. It's often the people who stay calmest under pressure.
Yeah. Because the guy that retired was a Boilermaker. And the reason he was doing really, really well. And the judges were discussing him. And they said the reason he does so well is that because of his trade, he's used to following instructions. If you're building a boiler, there's certain steps that have to be done. Otherwise, the thing is going to explode. So when a recipe landed on the bench, he followed it step by step. Unlike most people who get to a point and they go, we're going to do a shortcut. And then what ends up on the bench does not look like the dish that they're trying to copy.
But, no, I often said on the show, I said, I'm married, I can follow instructions.
So the Underground Bakery, I've been chatting about it for a while to people since I got the jam from you, in fact. Firstly, where is it, and does it only do baked goods, or is it a restaurant?
It's in a secret location. It pretty much does only, it's not only baked goods as such. So it's a what they call it, a dark kitchen. Okay. In other words, you order and they'll deliver, but you can't go into it. So he does a lot of different things. Like his my favorite is the butternut ciabatta, which goes brilliantly with the bacon jam, as a side note. He does butternut ciabatta, he does beetroot ciabatta, he does sourdough, he does seed loaves, he does all of that. Biscotti, all the pies are amazing as well. So if you fancy a pie, the beef and stout pie is super popular at the moment. And then a lot of jams and preserves and all of that as well. So the Rex Union marmalade's great, the 3 Citrus marmalade is great.
But is this the type of place, Chris, that you have to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and then when you ring, there's a special ringtone that or a password, Chris?
You can do it that way, or you can go to there's a website, the undergroundbakery.co.za, which is a lot easier, far easier.
But you mentioned one thing. I think that everybody in the last 18 months, if they're not still making it, they tried. That was sourdough. For some reason, everybody became instant sourdough aficionados. And banana bread. I don't know why, because I don't specifically like banana bread. I like date loaf, but my wife wouldn't make it. So, I say, please make a date loaf. And then she'd vanish into the kitchen. She's a great baker. And then she'd come out with banana bread. And I go, what happened to the date loaf? She goes, no, I've changed my mind. Dates are there's too much sugar in dates. Eat the bananas. Yes, but there's too much potassium in bananas. That can kill me as well. No, she says, that's not what's going to kill you. It's the arsenic that I put in. That's going to kill you, if we really want to know.
Yeah, no, that's, I found the banana bread thing interesting. Because, I don't know how it became a trend. I wondered if people just stocked up on bananas, and then when they started to turn a bit brown, decided, okay, we've got to use them still.
You know how many frozen bananas I found in our freezer?
Oh, no, trust me, I've got this. And funnily enough, you mentioned sourdough. Because I've been struggling since I've been working with Stuart at the Underground Bakery. But I try and stick to the keto diet.
Okay.
So I don't eat the sourdough, but my wife loves it.
Okay.
And she would buy a loaf and then
Mhm.
slice it up and put it in the freezer, but then decide on a whim that she wants another loaf that's fresh and buy that and bring it home and slice it up and put it in the freezer. So we've got like 3 or 4 loaves of sliced sourdough in the freezer and a few bags of bananas. But I think my mother-in-law, even before COVID, because she's a trendsetter, she was always big on the banana bread. So we'll just pass them on to her.
Fair enough. So talk to me, because how I found out about this was you mentioned it on Facebook. And I seem to remember saying, well, Don, because everything goes better with bacon. I don't care what your religious beliefs are.
Even bacon goes better with more bacon.
Goes better. I wonder what this tastes like on a bacon and egg sandwich. There's my next test.
Yeah.
On a bacon and egg sandwich.
Try it on your bacon and egg sandwich. And I heard something that I want to try.
Yeah.
A friend of mine yesterday told me he has it on his pizza, and apparently it's delicious.
Next time I order, I will, because then maybe we can do this for you, Chris. Instead of bananas on pizza, not bananas, pineapple, which should never be on a pizza.
I fall into the opposite category, just as a side note. I have bananas and pineapple when I'm not banting on my pizza.
The regular pizza place that I go to, I have stopped at tables of people that I don't know who have pineapple on their pizza, and I just stand and stare at them until they go, "Can we help you?" And I go, "Really? You're sitting in a public space and you have the audacity to put pineapple on your pizza? You should be ashamed of yourself."
I quite like it. I think the sweetness and the acidity of it does nicely. But anyway, we'll fight about that some other time.
You know what it is, Chris? I believe, and you and I have been in the same boat, where you're doing a late night TV shoot and they send a runner out at like midnight to get pizza. And there's only one place open and all they've got left is Hawaiian pizza. So you eat it. Doesn't matter what's on it. It could be old leather. 12:30, you're starving. It's been 17-hour shoot day. You will eat anything, as long as it's slightly warm and comes in a round box, in a square box. End of story.
Yeah.
But tell me more.
Oh, yeah, no, we used to do those late. There was before before Indeed shows. There was that place in Parkhurst. That was the only place that did 24-hour pizza or late night pizza. Yeah. And when you're at the end of an evening, sort of 2-3 in the morning, their pizzas were delicious. And I thought I'd try one once, as you say, sort of after a late night shoot when I was 100% sober. And I was like, this is possibly the worst pizza I've ever had in my life. But anyhow.
So tell me a bit more. Let me just go back to the screen. Tell me a bit more about this jam. How can people get it? Because you know what's going to happen. The first thing people are going to say is there a gluten-free option? And I've discovered that I'm gluten intolerant. So don't tell me you're gluten intolerant, because I'm not listening. And also don't tell me it's CrossFit, because that's another thing.
It is gluten-free. There's no gluten in it. So
it's just gluten-less.
Except for the bread that you've put it on.
Exactly.
But yeah, so it's gluten-free, it's alcohol-free, because I've seen, since I've been making it more frequently, there is another bacon jam on the market that's not as good, that has alcohol in it for some weird reason. I beg your pardon?
To make it taste good, because it's not good. So if you add alcohol, yes, like adding bacon, it makes it taste good.
Oh, not in this other one. I don't know. But because somebody brought it to me and was like, "Chris, you've got competition." And then I tasted it. I was like, you can't even taste the bacon in this thing. But that's beside the point. So where you can get it, you can get hold of me on Facebook, or if you're a close friend of David, he'll send you my number. Otherwise,
I just realized 072. This number is.
Oh yes, that is actually my agent's number.
Oh, okay. Then I won't give that.
But she's also my wife, so you can call her. She's very efficient. But otherwise, it's
5900.
That's the one. Yes. So yeah, hit me up on Facebook. You can call the number on the jar. You can call me directly. It is in a few shops right now. We're going to be in the Little Field Mouse in Cresta and in Rand Park as of Thursday this week. It's in Karibosana in Linden. It's in Boskraan Butchery. If you're in Cape Town, it is at, I must remember, I'm not looking at my phone. I'll tell you the name of the place now.
It's at Ryan Whittle's apartment. He's got a stock.
He hasn't had it yet. So what is the name of the place? Oh, the Block Lifestyle Center in, it's out, I think it's in Bloberg.
Chris, just thinking the fact that this is bacon, there's a little place here in Linden called the Little Deli, if I remember correctly, and they do pork products. This might be ideal for them. The next time I wander past, I will keep this with me and I will pop in and show it to them, if you don't mind.
Not at all, not at all. Like I said, it's in Linden in Karibosana. She was the first person to taste it and say, oh, and the other place it's at down the road, sorry, before I forget, is the Delta Cafe. You can buy it at the Delta Cafe as well.
Okay.
She was the lady in Linden, Karibosana, was the first one to taste it and say she wants it for her store. And she's probably my top seller. She sells a couple of cases a month.
Where is that in Linden? Because I've never heard of it. If
you know where the Big Blue factory store is on 3rd Avenue.
Oh, okay. They're next door.
Just out from
there. Okay. I'm just going to pause for a second.
Karibosana, if you know where the Big Blue factory store is.
Yeah.
Just down the road from there on 3rd Avenue.
Okay. I'll look it up on my next walk into our little hood. So where to for Chris after bacon jam? Do we have another? Is there going to be a whole? I never remember how to do this that way. Yes.
On the foodie side, I've been doing, because I mean one of the things that we've been doing during lockdown that's been quite fun is suddenly people do cook-alongs at home, and it's a lot easier than organizing one live.
Yeah.
Because now you're gonna have 200 people doing the thing. So we've been doing quite a lot of those. After the success of the bacon jam, because I'm actually, believe it or not, struggling to keep up with demand, which is a nice place to be in. I'm going to start with a chimichurri sauce soon, which I'll drop some off with you to try next time I make a batch. And I've also come out with a range of braai aprons.
With your face on it?
No, we don't want to scare the children. No, it's kind of, it's a project I started sort of 5 years ago and then never followed through with. But then I just decided recently, I've got all the designs, I've got all of this. And then somebody out of the blue, my neighbor, in fact, said, are you still interested in doing braai aprons? And I was like, yeah, why not? And then she had found a supplier that could help me out at a easy sort of cost, and then I'm going with it now. So they've been printed. They're also going to be in the Little Field Mouse, but there's a Facebook page that just needs to be populated with pictures, because I literally only got them yesterday. It's called Braaiing with Wood, which so that's kind of the foodie side that I'm doing.
Is one of the slogans on the apron, I've got wood?
No, the main one is called Real Men Braai with Wood. In fact, I'll even show it to you quickly.
That's open to a hell of a lot of interpretations. You know that, of course.
Well, that's kind of where I went with it. Let me just find it. Well, very professional here.
While Chris is looking for that, I'll give you the number again. It's 072 586 5900. Give Chris's agent a call. You can get yourself a bottle or 6 of the bacon jam, which is really, really delicious, I have to say. And fighting my wife and a house guest at the moment to stop them plowing in. I keep hiding it in places I hope they can't find. And when they ask me where it is, I go, oh, no, it's finished. And then
Well, luckily you can order more when you need. So there's the slogan. Real Men Braai with.
Ah, yes, exactly.
Got a log, he's ready to start a fire.
Yeah. Chris, It's been fantastic chatting to you. It's been far too long. I'm glad the Bacon Jam has brought us back together again. And we will chat when the rest of the products come out. And I look forward to seeing those on the shelves and maybe even seeing you back on stage again in the not too distant future.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Nice to see you again. And we'll chat soon. I'll come drop off a surprise chimichurri for you.
All righty. This has been In Conversation with, I'm David Batsoff, and he's Chris Forrest, and we've just had a heck of a lot of fun.